Is asset protection really a thing? Hello, I am Don Rolfe, the owner and founder of Northwest Legal Planning and Estate Planning and Probate Law Firm located in West Linn, Oregon, and offering services to the greater Portland metro area and perhaps further. So today we're talking about, is asset protection really a thing? And the reason that this comes up is this past week I had 2 consultations with individuals that were interested in doing some sort of asset protection. Unfortunately, for both of these individuals, they were already in a situation where asset protection just wasn't available to them because they were facing creditors coming after them right now. And we cannot hide, move, change the status of your assets if there is a real claim or a potential claim out there, because that can cause what we call a fraudulent transfer. So essentially, you could end up being not only facing the creditors for the amounts that you may owe them, whether that be for an injury or for failure to pay a debt or some other sort of thing. Maybe it's a business obligation. You could not only be on the hook for that, but then also you could be on the hook for what's called a fraudulent transfer, and there could be punitive damages that would attach to that as well. Now, I'm no longer a litigator, so if you have a problem like that, you're going to want to talk to a litigator. I'd be happy to refer you to someone if I can. But in this instance, if you already have the problem arising, you're not going to be able to do really any sort of the following strategies that I'm going to suggest for asset protection. Now, just a quick reminder, if you have any questions about this or any other estate planning topic, you can sit down and talk to me for free for a half hour, either on the phone or in person by going to myestateplanmeeting.com and getting yourself right onto my calendar. If you leave a phone number and want me to call you, I will call you, or you can come on into the office, have a cup of coffee, a glass of water, sit down and chat with me about the questions that you have, and in either of those scenarios, get you answers to those questions, and we will give you ideas of what kind of estate planning would be right for you. Anyway, back to asset protection. So if you've already got a problem, I'd be happy to direct you in the right area or what you should be looking for to help with that issue. But if you don't have a problem and you're looking at protecting your assets for in the future if something should arise, here is my number 1 suggestion. Find yourself a very knowledgeable insurance person and get yourself a ton of insurance. Insurance is pretty cheap for liability insurance. And if you work you have a company that perhaps has some sort of, it's dangerous in some way, or you're handling other people's money, you have fiduciary duty, make sure that you have your malpractice insurance, your liability insurance, your workers' comp insurance. Make sure that you have all the insurance that you need to pay the potential claims that are out there, so that your personal assets, we don't really have to do anything with them in order to protect them, because you have purchased insurance to take care of that for you. So your auto insurance, homeowner's insurance, an umbrella policy, director's insurance, and employer insurance, and owner's insurance, officer insurance for businesses, workers' comp insurance. Make sure that you have all of those things in place so that when the time comes that something is going to affect you and you're going to have a liability out there, you have insurance to cover it. So find yourself a really experienced insurance person. The second option is to put your assets in some sort of vehicle that is separate from you, so that creditors would be frustrated from getting to it. And there are laws in different states that allow you to set up what are basically called asset protection trusts. But in order to make them work, you have to give up control of your assets and put another person in charge of them, and it has to be a very trustworthy person, someone that you would trust with all of your assets, to make sure that that they're not stealing them. You would be pretty much a beneficiary of this trust, and that trustee could dole out assets to you and pay for things that you needed, but you wouldn't have direct asset to those funds, and therefore your creditors would not have direct access to them. However, Once you set up these sorts of trusts, there is a certain amount of time that has to pass in order to make them fully protected before, if a creditor came out of the woodwork the next day, those trusts would probably not work very well. And there are a few other strategies that can be used in order to protect your asset, but those are the two main ones that we look at. And really what I guide my clients on, if we're creating their estate plan, is to make sure that they have enough insurance to cover any liabilities that may come up in the future. Again, if you have any questions about this topic or any other estate planning topic, do feel free to book an appointment with me, a free estate planning strategy session, by going to myestateplanmeeting.com. Again, I'm Don Rolfe, owner and founder of Northwest Legal Planning, and until next time, take care. Bye.